It's been a long wait, but the off-season is finally over. The NHL regular season starts today. Hockey is back, folks. I'm going to share with you my previews and predictions for this season. But before I begin, I know you can tell I gained a little bit of weight this off-season, and it's about time I get back into game shape. So I'm going to do that. Now, I could do that through an 80s montage, or I could use some magic. And I'm feeling some magic, so that's what we're going to do. Feel lighter already? Let's do this. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Hockey Talkie. My name is Clay. Thank you for tuning in. The NHL season gets underway today, which means today is officially a good day. Now I'm here to give you the lowdown, the 411, if you will, on this season, this 56-game pandemic-shortened season that is sure to be unlike any other. I'm going to tell you what you need to know and what to expect from not only the Hawks, but also the league as well. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. First and foremost, let's talk about the structure of this season. It's going to be a little different. It's going to feel a little different than what we're used to. Obviously, a little bit shorter of a season, just 56 games instead of 82. But that's like the most normal of it. Like, we're fine with that. That's not going to be too big of a challenge, right? We've dealt with a 48-game season in 2013. 56 games, piece of cake. But this year, things are all kind of mixed up. We got 4 divisions, but we have no conferences. No Eastern Conference, no Western Conference. And those 4 divisions, they're not the same divisions that we're used to. Instead, we have the North Division, the West Division, the Central Division, and the East Division. Why is that? Because of the pandemic. Because the Canadian-U.S. border is still closed. So, they have a North Division as a solution, meaning all 7 Canadian teams are playing in a division north of the border. Then in the U.S., you have 3 divisions of 8 teams. The West Division, the Central, and the East. But they're all mixed up team-wise in terms of their, what used to be Eastern Conference teams and Western Conference teams. They're all mixed together now. There's no just Eastern Conference division and Western Conference divisions. Like, that's not a thing anymore. And the thing with the 56 games, all the games on your team's schedule are going to be played against teams within your team's division. So you're going to be playing a lot of the same teams multiple times. And the schedule's going to kind of be like baseball in a sense where your team takes a road trip to, another city, and they're going to play the same team multiple times in a row. That's just to kind of reduce travel because, once again, we're still kind of dealing with the pandemic. Now, in terms of the playoffs, as I mentioned, there's no Western Conference. There's no Eastern Conference. Just 4 divisions. So how is this going to work? Well, to start, top 4 teams in each division make the playoffs. And there's no scenarios based on record where 5 teams from one division make it and only 3 from another. That's not the case this year. It's just top 4 teams from each division. It's just that simple. And then the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, pretty much similar to what we're used to, which is kind of a divisional format. You just play top 4 seeds in a division, kind of play each other those first 2 rounds, right? And then once you hit what would have been the conference final round, you get the remaining team from each division, they get reseeded for the conference finals, or what would be the conference finals in a normal year. For this semifinal round, I guess you would call it this year. So they get reseeded, so the top team left plays the fourth best team left. And that's how the semifinals would work. And then the Stanley Cup final, is the winner of those 2 games. So that's how the playoffs are going to work. Now, with all that said, let's just make a note here. Prior to the season even starting, things are not going smooth. We already have some games being postponed due to COVID positive tests. The Dallas Stars have like 17 positive cases right now. So the schedule, the 56-game schedule that your team has, might change a little bit as the season goes. The key to this season for everything is going to be flexibility and just go with the flow. All right, so now that you have a little bit of a grasp on how this season is going to work structurally, Let's talk about something else that is going to feel and look weird this year, and that is players not in jerseys that you're used to seeing them in. You have Braden Holtby, who won a cup just a few years ago with Washington. He's in Vancouver now, which then kind of led Jacob Markstrom to go to Calgary. Then you have Torrey Krug and Mike Hoffman in St. Louis. Wayne Simmons, Joe Thornton, they're in Toronto now. You have Taylor Hall in Buffalo. Alex Pietrangelo in Vegas. You have Matt Murray in Ottawa now. Zdeno Chara is in Washington. And then you have a couple guys like Corey Crawford, who originally goes to New Jersey, and Henrik Lundqvist, who originally goes to Washington, but then both had to retire, essentially, so they're no longer playing. This season is going to feel so weird. Some of these players are just going to look so different. And they're like, this isn't it. Like, this is just notable ones. There are plenty of other players, and feel free to leave them down in the comment section below if you know of one that I have not mentioned here. But this is going to be a weird year. Now, in terms of the Blackhawks personnel, Corey Crawford is no longer there. He retired. Brandon Saad is no longer there. He got traded to Colorado in exchange for Zadorov. We signed Carl Soderberg. Kirby Dach is injured for basically the season. Jonathan Toews, he's out indefinitely. We don't know when he will be back. We signed Mattias Janmark, who just played in the Stanley Cup Final for the Dallas Stars. We have Lucas Wallmark coming over from Carolina. Then we have a couple Europeans. Pius Suter, he led his league in scoring, the Czech league, just like Dominik Kubalik did. We got some new faces. We got some young faces as well. Ian Mitchell, big one. Keep your eye on him. This is going to be a new look for the Hawks this year. With that in mind, expectations for Blackhawks fans should probably be kept pretty low. Like, it would be a pretty big surprise if they end up getting in the top 4 of the division and end up making the playoffs. That would be a surprise. It's more likely that they're battling Detroit for not being last in the Central Division. Their standings place, how well they do or how poorly they do this season, is going to really rely on, number one, their unproven goaltenders, whether it be Malcolm Subban, Colin Delia, Kevin Lankinen, whichever one of those steps up and becomes a starter. Are they just an average goaltender, or do they step up and play and cement themselves as an actual NHL caliber goaltender? That's going to determine a lot of this season of the success of the Hawks. Also, DeBrincat, does he have a bounce back season? Does Kubalik, not have a sophomore slump, essentially? How does the defense do? Can Ian Mitchell, make that jump to the pros? Can Adam Boqvist take the next step? How will the forwards deal with not having Jonathan Toews for an insignificant amount of time? Without Kirby Dach for the entire year, can Dylan Strome essentially, take on that number 1 center role? There's a lot of questions that are really going to play a big part in how well or poorly this Hawks team does this year. And like I mentioned, the most likely scenario is probably not good. Now, in terms of the rest of the league, I'm going to give you the division winners, regular season division winners, who I think is going to play in the Stanley Cup Final, and who I think is going to bring home the Stanley Cup. Starting with the division winners in the North, the Toronto Maple Leafs. In the West, the Colorado Avalanche. In the Central, the Tampa Bay Lightning. And in the East, the Boston Bruins. If you notice, that's 3 what wouldn't be normally Atlantic Division teams being division winners this year. Yeah, it's going to be weird. For the Stanley Cup Final, I've got the Colorado Avalanche playing against the Carolina Hurricanes. And for the Stanley Cup champs, I'm picking the Colorado Avalanche. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you got something out of it. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Hockey is back finally. It should be a fun season. It most definitely is going to be a weird one. But at least it's back. Like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate that as always. But most importantly, stay safe, make good decisions, and I'll see you next time. Very, very soon.